When you think about it, there are thousands of languages spoken all over the world. They all sound so different, right? Like completely separate universes of sound and meaning. But what if that's not the whole story? What if they're not separate at all? Well, that's what we're going to dive into.
And that's the big question, isn't it? Is there some hidden connection, some secret thread that links all these languages together? It turns out the answer is a resounding yes, and it's buried deep in our shared human history. You see, it's kind of cool. Just like people have families, languages do too.
Okay, so check this out. It's a bit of a puzzle. You take English, and you take Persian. I mean, they're spoken thousands of miles apart. They seem totally unrelated, but look at one of the most fundamental words there is. In English, we say mother. In Persian, it's madar. Mother, madar. Is that just a wild coincidence? Or is it a clue? Something that points to a much deeper story? All right, so to solve this mystery, we've got to look at what you might call the DNA of language. And this brings us to a really fascinating idea that linguists use to trace these ancient connections. It's the concept of a proto-language. So what is a proto-language? Well, the easiest way to think about it is like a grandmother language. It's this theoretical ancestor language spoken thousands and thousands of years ago that a whole bunch of modern languages eventually came from. Now, we don't have any recordings or books from back then, obviously, but that doesn't mean all the evidence is gone, not by a long shot.
So you might be wondering, how does one grandmother language turn into, dozens of different languages? Well, it's a story as old as humanity. It's all about migration. Picture this. You've got one group, all speaking the same language. Then, for whatever reason, some people pack up and move away. They get isolated, and over thousands of years, their way of speaking starts to change. Sounds shift, new words pop up, grammar gets tweaked, until eventually you have brand new languages. But they still carry this faint little echo of where they came from.
And that echo, that's the evidence. It hasn't disappeared. It survives in what you could call linguistic fossils, and they're hidden in plain sight, right inside the words we use every single day. Linguists have a name for them. They're called cognates. And you find them in the most basic core parts of our vocabulary. Words for family, numbers, parts of the body. They're basically the DNA that proves the family relationship. Okay, so let's put this theory to the test. We're going to look at a huge case study, the largest and most studied language family on the entire planet. This is the Indo European family, and it's massive, a giant network of languages stretching all the way from Iceland to Bengal. And right here, this is the smoking gun. Just look at this table. The number 2 in Urdu is du. In Persian, also du. In Russian, dva. Latin, duo. English, tu. Do you hear that? That D or T sound just echoing across thousands of years and thousands of miles? And it's the same for mother. Mata, madar, mat, mater. I mean, come on. There's no way that's a coincidence. It's just too consistent. The guy who first really cracked this code was a British judge in India back in the 1700s, Sir William Jones. He was learning Sanskrit for his job, and he already knew Greek and Latin. And as he's studying, he has this aha moment. He's just stunned by how similar Sanskrit's grammar and vocabulary are to these European languages. He wrote that the similarity was so strong, it couldn't possibly have been produced by accident. He was the one who proposed they all must have sprung from some common source. And boom, just like that, the entire field of historical linguistics was born. Now, as big as the Indo-European family is, it's really just one piece of this giant global puzzle. This whole family tree model works all over the world. So let's take a quick world tour, shall we? Everywhere you look, you find these families, and each one has its own amazing signature. Like over in East Asia, you've got the Sino-Tibetan family, famous for tonal languages like Mandarin, where just changing the pitch of your voice can completely change a word's meaning. Incredible! Then there's the massive Niger-Congo family in Africa, which basically tells the epic story of the Bantu expansion, a huge migration in human history. The Afro-Asiatic family has this brilliant internal logic. We'll get to that in a sec. But then you get a real head-scratcher like the Dravidian family in southern India. One of its languages, Brahui, is spoken thousands of kilometers away in Pakistan. It's a living, breathing echo of some ancient migration we've completely forgotten.
Okay, so about that Afro-Asiatic family, it has this absolutely genius feature, a 3-consonant root system. Here's how it works. You take a root, like KTB, which is all about the idea of writing. Then, just by plugging different vowels in and around those 3 consonants, you get this whole web of related words. Kitab is a book. Katib is a writer. Maktab is a place for writing, like a school or an office. It's such an elegant and logical way to build a vocabulary, and it's totally different from how a language like English works.
Now, I don't want to make it sound like this is all cut and dried. This is a living science, and there are still huge debates. Take the proposed Altaic family. That's a group that might include Turkish and Mongolian. The big question is, are these languages similar because they have a common grandmother language, or is it just because they've been neighbors for centuries, borrowing words and grammar from each other? I love the analogy here. It's like asking if 2 houses look alike because the same family built them, or because the neighbors just kept borrowing each other's tools and blueprints.
So this is all a fascinating historical puzzle, right? But it's more than that. It's actually really important for us today. It gets to that big "so what" question. Why should we even care about these ancient language family trees? Well, for 2 big reasons. First, these language families are literally maps of human history, but they're written in words, not ink. They trace ancient migrations, forgotten trade routes, stuff that happened long before anyone wrote anything down. They're a living record of our journey as a species. And second, it shines a huge spotlight on the urgent need for preservation. Right now, thousands of languages are in danger of disappearing, and when they go, we risk losing entire branches of our human family tree forever.
There's a powerful saying that really gets to the heart of this. When a language dies, you're not just losing a bunch of words, you're losing an entire worldview, a unique way of seeing and making sense of the world. It really is like a section of the great library of human experience, burning to the ground, gone, forever.
And that really brings us to the most important point of all. You know, on the surface, the sounds of our different languages can seem like walls that divide us. But when you look deeper at their ancient roots, you find this profound connection. You find these threads that don't just tie us to each other today, but tie all of us back to our shared ancestors deep in the past. So I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. We've seen how ancient migrations shaped the languages we speak right now. But what about the future? Think about it. 1,000 years from now, in an age of globalization and the internet, will our languages all start to merge into one? Or will we create totally new dialects online? What stories will our languages tell about us?